Kia ora, Talofa lava, bula vinaka, and warm Pacific greetings to you. My name is Leilani Thompson-Rikys, and I work here in Auckland, New Zealand as a disability advisor at the Human Rights Commission. And really the impact that I want to make is to help all people to realise their rights and to be able to live the life that should be theirs, to be able to fulfil their human potential and to live without discrimination or stigma. A word that's really important for me when we're thinking about human rights is the word aroha, or aloha in Samoan, and we know it as meaning love. But what it actually means, aro means to pay attention, and ha is the breath. So it actually means you pay attention to the breath of another person. When you love someone, you are absolutely acknowledging their very being, their very essence, and you're respecting that. And you're really giving so much attention to that. And so to me, that's about recognising the rights of another person, recognising everything that makes them human and respecting that. And so, yeah, that's for me, when we're acknowledging human rights, we're showing aroha. I'm really passionate about the rights of all people. And I work as a disability advisor at the Human Rights Commission in New Zealand, so I'm really passionate about the rights of people with disabilities. Coming into this role, I live with post-traumatic stress disorder myself, so I must say that I'm really passionate about people who live with mental illness being able to realise the same rights as other people. I think that the disability movement in New Zealand has been amazing. There are incredible people with so much passion and dedication who have really pushed the rights of people with disabilities. And we've done, people from New Zealand were key in the creation of the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. And some of that thinking, I really want to see that spread across broader amongst people who live with mental illness as well, because I think that there are aspects to the convention that a lot of people living with mental illness don't really know about or understand about. So just to explain, basically, you have the right to be how you are in this world, and if that means that you're a person who uses a wheelchair, then accommodation needs to be made for you to be able to work or for you to be able to study, so forth. If you live with mental illness, and I'll talk from my own perspective, often I can experience flashbacks. How I am is that I can have those flashbacks, and they can be quite interruptive in my day, but I still have the right to work. I still have the right to have friends and to socialise and to absolutely meet my own potential. So so that means that my workplace has to be able to accommodate the fact that I have those flashbacks, and that's just a part of how I am in the world, but I also have a lot of other strengths to offer a workplace. So that's the kind of, that's my own experience, but I'm really passionate about people really starting to think about that, to understand that, people are all different, and but we have to actually really value everyone and nourish their unique potential. Okay, so for example, in the workplace, I think that a lot of people who live with mental illness find it really difficult to find work, and also are quite scared of actually being within a work environment because of what happens if they have flashbacks, or what happens if they start crying unexpectedly, or you know, things like that. And I myself, I've had those kind of concerns. But because your employer actually has a responsibility to accommodate you with your disability, and so that can be, you can work with your employer to actually figure out the plan that's actually going to enable you to work to your best potential. So that might be that you really struggle with the mornings, and it's better for you to start at 10 o'clock, and so then you adjust your time to work. I myself work from 10 till 4:30, 4 days a week. There are things like having a timeout space at work where so that you can go there. There's lots of things that people can do that actually would make workplaces better for people with mental illness. Another thing is that I think there's a lot of things about kind of corporate culture that people just take for granted, but actually they're not necessary, and they can be kind of played around with. And sometimes people are worried that if they cry at work they won't seem professional. Well, we're all human, we cry. It's not the end of the world if someone cries at work, and it doesn't actually show that they're not professional. And workplaces actually have to be able to recognise that there's a vast range of human experience, and actually make workplaces a safe and happy place for all people. My father came to New Zealand from Fiji, and coming here he brought with him this really rich cultural background, a real love of people and food and community, and of getting people together and everyone joining in to help. He was a teacher. He loved education. He absolutely wanted all of his children to have the best education available, and actually quite a few of us have gone on to university. But the one thing that he really didn't face in his lifetime was that he lived with mental illness, and it was absolutely not okay to talk about that. It was because of his cultural beliefs that the stigma, that there's a huge stigma around having mental illness, that it could be a curse from God or a sign of the family's wrongdoing, and that it would be very shameful, and you just don't talk about that. So if we were to talk about him having a mental illness, we'd be thrashed as kids. It was just not something that you could say. And for myself, I've had to really turn that around and shift that shame away, and actually go, actually this is a really normal part of human experience, and we're all different, and some of us live with mental illness, and it's okay, and there's no shame and there's no stigma about it, and actually I have something really valuable to contribute to the community. So yeah, I did have to actually kind of go, okay, my culture thinks these things, but I'm not going to actually take this on too much. And you have to kind of look deeper, because culturally, for me, there's a lot about love, there's a lot about hospitality, and there's a lot about being welcoming to people, and if you apply that, if you think about those things, well then there's not really place for people being discriminatory about mental illness, or for stigma around it. And so I really want to see that kind of thinking change. I think that it's exciting to see the Pacific community, the Pacific and Māori communities really starting to change that. There's and for myself, I feel like it's something that I need to speak out about. It's almost like taking on the kind of wish to be an educator of my father and actually honour his memory, to actually go, well, yeah, this person lived with mental illness, and some of the things he did around that weren't awesome, but we can actually do better. And I've actually had experience in talking with different church leaders and different church communities about how actually having a mental illness isn't a sign that God's unhappy with you. It's not a curse. And actually people go, yeah, it isn't. And people go, oh, actually my dad has a mental illness and my cousin has this. And actually, yeah, we don't have to hold on to these kind of ideas anymore if they're harming our community. I think that technology actually has an enormous role to play in the promotion of human rights. Basically, it enables people to form community and create space to dialogue over issues that we just didn't have before. And I think that's a really important thing, because the more you can actually dialogue with another person and get to hear about the world from their perspective, you can actually empathise, have compassion, have understanding, and actually value that person. Value what's different about them as well as what's the same as you. So I see social media and the internet and technology as a forum for that. Recently we've actually just started the disability rights page on Facebook as part of my role, and that's really exciting, and we only just launched it last week and we've already had 392 likes, and that's wonderful, because it's just people being able to say, hey, yeah, people with disabilities have rights, and it's getting people to actually think about that. And one thing I like to say is that discriminating against people with disabilities is the same as discriminating against someone on the basis of race, and people generally can realise that racism isn't okay, but think that it's okay to discriminate around disability. And so actually getting the kind of social message out there and getting young people excited about that, about being human rights defenders, is really cool. It's great to use Facebook. I think any kind of technology like that is really important. The other thing about technology is that it enables us to do things that we haven't been able to previously, and especially within the disability community. It can be very enabling, particularly for people who have limited mobility, who can use Facebook or wherever as a site to actually meet and communicate ideas. Also, for people within the deaf community, being able to use text is really important. I think that organisations and businesses and everywhere need to start being text capable to enable people who are deaf to talk via text to them. There are telephone relay services, but they involve the conversation having to go through a third party. So they don't give the same one-to-one and independence to the person who's deaf, who's using a mobile phone. So having a mobile phone is really liberating, because it's the only way that they can communicate by phone. They don't bother to have a landline, and in fact maintaining a landline is unnecessarily expensive. So for the Māori deaf people that I work with, they just have a text number, and that's how they communicate. And so, it's really important for me, especially in my role at the Commission, for me when I'm talking to people, to be able to text. Yeah.